Hey everybody, it is Kellen Nitro for Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited, and on June 29th, 2019, AEW offered us its second, mega card. You really couldn't call this a pay-per-view because it was free to stream on Bleacher Report Live, US, Canada, and then I think it was either free or very nominal to pay for in the UK and other countries. It was called AEW Fyter Fest, as part of the CEO Gaming and Fighting Festival in Daytona Beach. A whole bunch of fighting video games, and it's like a fighting video game Comic-Con, and there's a pro wrestling card attached to it. This started last year with Kenny Omega kind of co-promoting a card with Alex Jabali, who is the CEO of CEO. And that card last year was to mixed reviews. It had a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling talent, and the show kind of streamed, I think, on Twitch and was not very good. So this year's show, AEW Fyter Fest, was automatically, with the production values of AEW, 10 times better than last year's show. Last year's show was kind of one of the in the categories of worst show of the year. This one, far from it. It was actually a fairly solid card. This is my take on AEW Fyter Fest 2019, and some of the points out of all the matches that I got out of the card, and I hope that you got out of the card as well. So we started with AEW's version of the free-for-all. They call it the buy-in, and it's streamed on YouTube. And this was actually a pretty packed part of the show, in which there was not one or two matches, but I counted 3 matches in the buy-in portion of AEW Fyter Fest, which is a real cool bonus. That was really awesome that they did that, and they fit in 3 matches in a little under an hour. The opening contest of the entire card was a triple threat tag team match to one fall, with the debuting Private Party taking on SCU, which was Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian, and Best Friends. The winner of that match got a shot. The winner of this match gets a shot at All Out and a chance at a first round bye for the AEW tag team titles. So this was high stakes already. They made it feel like it was a high stakes match already. Oh yeah, you get a first round bye in the AEW tag team title tournament. You're one step closer to becoming AEW tag team champions. So very big stakes. Already had a real big match feel going into it. This was the debut of Private Party in AEW. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, they're debuting with AEW here. This is a really good TV style match. Private Party, I thought, was showcased very well here. Great double team maneuvers from that team. Maybe they can rival the Bucks in a few years' time with their double team maneuvers. They're being, kind of more of a younger team on the roster. There was a lot of parallels between these guys and the Street Profits of WWE NXT fame, kind of being drawn in this match, and I still see there's a big difference between both of them. I think that they're both kind of doing their own thing, and they're kind of exploiting 2 different ends of, let's call it, the urban culture in 2018, 2019, 2020 North America standards here. There's subtle differences, but enough to keep both teams separated, in my opinion. This match was a great example of what AEW's tag team division will be like. Very competitive, a lot of high flying, a lot of mix between juniors that can move and work and wrestle in the ring, and a little bit of heavyweight flair, a lot of swagger, a lot of bravado with the wrestlers. That's what the Young Bucks like in the tag team division. That's how they've wrestled throughout their entire career. So it's almost like a whole army of those teams coming forward. This was a great lid lifter, with Best Friends getting the win with the Strong Zero. That was at the 16-minute mark of the match, and immediately right after, the Dark Order shows up on a video screen. The entire arena goes black for the first time in the night, and the minions show up, and the lights go out, and they're gone. And I'm not talking about like the Despicable Me minions. I'm talking about the Dark Order minions. So guys who are dressed with like the masks, and they're basically the indie workers from around the Florida area that they booked in just for some extra camera time on the outside of the ring there during that. So Dark Order, I think it'll be a better gimmick once they get on TV, but for right now, it's borderline fizzling, just mostly because nobody remembers the Super Smash Brothers. And if they do remember the Super Smash Brothers, they just remember the rant that Jim Cornette had about the Super Smash Brothers on that revealing kayfabe commentaries, breaking kayfabe special from about 2014 or so, when he talked about how that team was kind of a thorn in the side of booking, where fans wanted the Super Smash Brothers to get over and to be pushed as a mega team in Ring of Honor, whereas booking and creative had completely different ideas, because you had the American Wolves, you had the Briscoes, and on and on and on in Ring of Honor. I think he still had a Hero and Claudio at that time as the Kings of Wrestling as well. So, I mean, they're in enough as it is. Next match on the card, Allie making her debut for AEW, coming straight from Impact Wrestling, taking on the Librarian, Leva Bates. I'm unsure about the Librarian gimmicks. These gimmicks might not be long-lived for TV once they do start on the TNT weekly show. But again, it's old school 90s wrestling that everybody seems to love. You have the gimmicks that are kind of absurd and ludicrous, but both Peter Avalon and Leva Bates are great choices for these gimmicks. It's just that I could see this thing after a few weeks on TV maybe having some go-away heat a little bit. But again, it's all how they are used on the television and on the TV, and how they're all marketed through social media and everything. They could be, heck, let's face it, The Undertaker was supposed to only be a 6-month to a year-long gimmick in WWF, and now look at how long Mark Calloway's been playing Undertaker, right? So, you know, it could be a thing. I know that somebody on Leva Bates's Facebook after the event, or wasn't Facebook, sorry, Instagram, had posted a really lengthy question, but basically the gist was, why don't you carry on the cosplay gimmick in AEW? Well, Leva did a great job of listing the reasons why. Number one, this is different. The Librarian thing allows her to create kind of an AEW identity and keep the cosplay stuff out on the indies. Number two, there is no way that a major company would allow somebody to do a cosplay gimmick just due to the fact that, you know, copyrights. And you'd be crashing copyrights, and you'd be, you know, just skirting the law almost every week or every time you put that character on TV. You know, and in a copyright happy 2019, don't forget these are the same people who have effectively ruined YouTube and the YouTube wrestling community, you know, by not allowing us to use video from matches and such in reviews such as this and whatever, without getting false flagged or flagged from the parent companies. It's, you know, it's the culture. It's what it is, you know. Well, end rant, but you get what I'm saying out of that. And I thought Leva handled herself very well in that exchange. I love the spot in this match with Peter Avalon grabbing Allie's leg while reading the book on the outside. Allie shoots Leva in on the ropes and then bounces off the opposite ropes to attempt, I guess would be a clothesline or a spear or something. And Avalon, while reading the book like this, just kind of looks up, grabs the leg, and goes back to reading the book. You know, and then it continues to shush the crowd. I popped. I laughed for that. That was really funny. Allie, though, wins with the BSE. The match length was 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Again, it's a match better suited for a TV audience. You know, really didn't fit on a major pay-per-view, but this wasn't a major pay-per-view. This was just a addition to a fighting game convention. This essentially was a televised house show that AEW had put out there for free for everybody, so people could sample the product and they could test things out and so on and so forth. Case in point, the set was the same set that they used at Double or Nothing. All they did was add tents and you know, hot bikini models. There was 4 at first, and then 2 got deleted and were replaced by mannequins later on in the night. You know, it was just basically a test of what it looks like in the major arena, and for everybody crowing on Twitter about the capacity, about the show not being I guess filled, the Ocean Center not being filled in Daytona. I think that's probably how they just wanted it to look. I don't think there was anything about, you know, poor ticket sales for the thing and that stuff. I think they knew that they were probably going to draw maybe a 5,000 or 6,000 seat house right now with a kind of, lack of a better term, surprise card with not much, fanfare or mainstream advertising as Double or Nothing had. So, this one was going to be kind of, just kind of more of a test than anything else. So I thought the show looked good on camera. Watching it on Bleacher Report Live, I thought it streamed really well. And commentary was way better this time with Golden Boy coming in as the third commentator with JR and Excalibur creating that Freeman booth. Would love to hear more of Golden Boy and less of Alex Marvez. Remains to be seen if they could do it. I know Golden Boy's kind of contracted with Dwayne Johnson's reality TV arm, I guess, where he's doing a bunch of stuff like the different reality TV competition shows that Dwayne Johnson produces and that stuff. This guy is the play-by-play voice for it. So it may be a matter of, okay, can he balance his schedule? But I thought the three of them sounded great. Third match on the card and the final match of the buy-in was the Hardcore Rules Anything Goes Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jabali street fight. And Jabali is the organizer. Jabali, of course, is the organizer of the CEO Fighting Gaming Tournament. So there we go. He has his own chalkline jacket, so therefore he automatically is a heel to the crowd. Some fun comedy spots during this match. This match reminded me a lot of the old WWF Attitude Era hardcore matches where, yeah, it's kind of a hardcore street fight, anything goes, but they're not necessarily using instruments of death, we'll put it that way, like barbed wire or whatever. That is yet to come in the night. This is just more zany looniness. Let's use whatever plunder. If he picks up a bicycle, to whack him with a bicycle. You got a bicycle. Let's see what happens, right? So it's just, this was just kind of more Attitude Era hardcore division-esque. Maybe even 24/7 hardcore rules. If there's enough talk of the 24/7 title as of late. So Jabali actually does some decent stuff in the ring. Like, he can throw a good suplex. He still needs a ton of work to be kind of more polished and that stuff, but compared to where he was last year, and they were talking about him fighting through an injury at that point last year and that stuff, and actually I think he was on crutches during this card last year. Is along the lines of he's way improved, in a year's time, and I think he just gets the ring time in. I think he could be probably, for a non-wrestler, a very useful repeat on-screen personality with AEW if they bring him in once a year for this and book him with somebody. I think it could be very passable for sure. He's not at a Stephen Amell level for outside talents coming into wrestling and being able to put on a really good match, but he's not necessarily Snooki either. So, he's kind of somewhere in the middle. And, Snooki wasn't half bad in her WrestleMania appearance. She was actually pretty good. So the match ended with a reverse Mahistral Credo. Nakazawa wins with the thong to the face during the pinfall. Again, I saw no problem with this match. For it being where it was on the card, it was a fun, hardcore match. And, a good revenge storyline from last year. And Michael Nakazawa, he's going to be a fun comedic character to see on these AEW shows. We now open up the main card, and if you want to watch the main card, it's up for free on Bleacher Report Live. Just create an account, and you can go back and just make sure you turn spoiler mode off. Otherwise, the on-demand for Fyter Fest won't show up on your search screen when you search out the AEW channel, I guess, on Bleacher Report Live. With all the events and that stuff. And as it stands right now, it's up there for free replay. I think they said they're going to keep it up there for about 30 days or 60 days after the event airs. So you can go back and watch it as many times as you want if you'd like, or if you miss something. And it's a very stomachable main card because the main card itself only runs about 2 hours and 26 minutes, 27 minutes or so, if that. It might even be a 2 hour and 34 run time. I've have to go back and check it out and see, but it's not a 3 or 4 hour show. This thing, they rattled off 3 matches in the pre-show that you can easily, if you want to, skip and move on, because we talked about the 3 matches. There was a comedic skit with the models and the tents, and the event being named Fyter Fest. with being the elite guys, with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and that stuff. Basically, they ran through kind of a mock Fyter Fest documentary, like, oh my God, this is costing us way too much money for an event of this size. It shouldn't be this expensive. We're going to get rid of some things, and they start deleting models, they start deleting 10 pieces and that stuff, and basically you're left with the double or nothing set with, instead of the poker chips on one side, you get like a Fyter Fest stage with a rock band that was supposed to be Blink-182, but they canceled. So, ergo, playing off of some pop culture right there, but it was cool. Anyway, opening contest on the main card, Christopher Daniels of SCU taking on Strong Hearts, their leader, Sima. Wow, it's 2006 all over again. I feel like I'm tape trading. Both guys, though, still have it. It's a great opener, and Sima wins with the Meteora. Up next, we got Sima and Omega in Jacksonville. The match length runtime for this was 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Really good opener, and both these guys proved that they still have it. It's kind of a coach's battle, as both these guys will be coaching respective young talent on, I guess, each side of quote-unquote border between the U.S. and China, where Sima will go back to China to coach the talent in OWE, Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, and Christopher Daniels is the coach for AEW, for the younger talent there. And it's, like I said, it was a coach's battle, and a very stomachable coach's battle. These guys don't age. This is exactly the same match that they had back in 2006, back in the Dragon Gate days and the Ring of Honor days and so on and so forth. So, it was a great throwback to see both these guys in the ring for sure. And, Sima is a thing again in North America. A good 11 or 12 years after he first became a thing in North America. Wrestling's amazing sometimes. That's all I gotta say. Women's triple threat next, where we had Ryo Mizunami, Yuka Sakazaki, and Nyla Rose. So this was a kind of a mixture of the two kind of showcase events for the women's division in AEW from Double or Nothing, where you had Nyla Rose, Kylie Ray, and Britt Baker in a triple threat match, and then you had the 6-woman Yoshi tag match that had Sakazawa and Mizunami in it. So, a great match, and this match is the showcase that Nyla Rose needed. She came out there and was the hoss in there, the big hoss, the heater, the power heel, whatever you want to call it, but she threw Sakazaki and Mizunami around. Yuka reminds me of a Final Fantasy character. It's kind of got that vibe to it. There was an amazing guillotine flying knee coast to coast by Nyla Rose during the match. For a larger athlete, she can move. This match started out being kind of a power squash for Rose, but it became a competitive little triple threat match, and Ryu Mizunami ended up with the pin on Nyla Rose, got the roll up. The length of the match was 12 minutes and 30 seconds, so it didn't go overly long. It accomplished what it needed to accomplish there. I think we could see a handicap match coming soon with Ryu and Yuka versus Nyla Rose. Even with the tension that's built between Ryu and Yuka, Yuka at the end attempted to help Ryu up, and Ryu was kind of upset that Yuka wasn't there for her at certain parts during this match. So, pushed her down onto the mat and that stuff, and kind of made it all about her as she stormed out the victor. And Yuka had just a sad puppy dog look on her face as she walked to the back. So I'd love to see the three of them tangle in a handicap match situation with the two Yoshi competitors take on Nyla Rose. And I think you have Nyla Rose just power through them. And I think that's where you go next with that. It would be incredible. But this was a great match for what it was. Fantastic. Fatal 4-Way up next. MJF, Hangman Page, Jungle Boy, Jimmy Havoc. Kip Sabian is at the commentary booth. He'll take on the winner at a later date, which we found out was going to be Fight for the Fallen at the end of the match. So Kip Sabian will take on, in a one-on-one match, the winner of this match at Fight for the Fallen in Jacksonville. JR comparing MJF to Paul Heyman. I can see it on commentary. MJF then cuts the promo of the year candidate in the ring. If you haven't had a chance to watch this promo, go to Twitter, find the video, watch it. I think the runtime on this is about 2 minutes or 3 minutes or so, but it is heel wrestling 101. The dude is like Roddy Piper mid 1980s heel right now. it's that's how hot he is. Dude is hated, and I love it. Good on him. That's great stuff. It's been a long time since we've seen a heel in the wrestling business that's gotten over with crowds across television and live crowds as MJF has. So hey, kudos. Kid's got something. Yep, 4 of the fastest rising stars of the last 3 years in this match. Again, I can't argue with the booking at all. Match of the night candidate, yes, definitely. Hangman Page grabs the pin on Jimmy Havoc after hitting him with the Deadeye. And that sets up, of course, Kip Sabian and Adam Page at Fight for the Fallen in Jacksonville. The runtime on this one was 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Jungle Boy looks great. The relationship between him and Luchasaurus is cute. I think those guys might be a dark horse in this tag team tournament coming up in the fall for the tag titles to have the tag straps. And I think long-term plans would have them have a run with the tag team titles before, maybe working a split angle sometime. If it's off in 2020 or 2021, that's fine. That's really cool. I mean, these guys function very well as a unit right now at this time. Next match, Cody versus Darby Allin, and this is Darby Allin's debut match in AEW. Of course, you Northwest fans will know all about Darby Allin as, kind of getting his start in the Defy 3-2-1 battle, Without a Cause promotions, ECCW as well, in the Northwest, British Columbia, and Washington State. And of course, we've seen him at PWG, Bola, etc., etc. Taking on Cody. So this is kind of a real stiff first match for Darby Allin. An independent dream match here, most definitely from the past 2 or 3 years. Allin, you wouldn't look at it at the character, but surprisingly, just by the look of the character, I should say, he's surprisingly very sound, very technically sound. He's kind of like a North American version of Jimmy Havoc, so it's going to be interesting to see those two lock it up in the ring. Heck, they might even tag, and then that's a wild team in itself. But, if those two ever went one-on-one, that'd be a great match. Maybe it's already happened and I've missed it, but... I think on an AEW stage, Allin versus Jimmy Havoc would be an incredible deal. Allin takes some real sick bumps though in the ring. I guess he's here for a good time, not a long time. Whatever got you to the dance, I guess. But man, there's got to be easier ways of making a living. So to finish, a time limit draw. I'd love to see these two hook it up again. Maybe that's something that's due down the line on AEW TV in the fall. One could only hope so. That was a great 20-minute match between the two of them. Sean Spears comes in and stuffs Cody with a chair shot, and I'm just going to read what it says on the Wikipedia article because I think the Wikipedia article nails it about this event. Much of the discussion after the event was due to the unprotected chair shot that Cody Rhodes took to the head from Sean Spears following his match with Darby Allin. While Rhodes didn't suffer a concussion, he did require 12 surgical staples, with Jim Ross mentioning on air about long-term health concerns for Rhodes. The Young Bucks claimed in an interview after the event that the chair was gimmicked in order to make the chair shot look unprotected, while remaining safe of course, but something went wrong, causing the head laceration. AEW received criticism by those in the industry for allowing the spot due to concerns of head trauma and CTE by former wrestlers, athletes in the ring. By contrast, WWE legitimately banned chair shots to the head following the Chris Benoit double murder and suicide. Of course, that's back in 2007. So, it's one of those things that if you go there now in 2019, you're going to get a backlash over that. And did it need to happen creatively? I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, this is setting up something perhaps for All Out, I would think, just due to the fact that we got the Rhodes Brothers versus the Young Bucks coming up at Fight for the Fallen. But if they're building something along the lines, and Shawn Spears is a guy that was a big get for AEW, and it was awesome to see Shawn Spears wrestle here live in my neck of the woods. He's actually the belt holder, I think, of the British Commonwealth Championship here in Edmonton with the PWA, which is kind of the mid-card belt for PWA, to kind of give it a sense for outsiders and such that are, tuning in and checking out this channel for the first time and wondering, okay, what the hell is he rambling about? But anyways, it's, just one of those things where I think maybe a little bit more foresight, maybe could have been a little bit more drawn out, well thought of, but I think when you're just going with it, you just roll with it. Again, if the chair was supposedly gimmicked and it was going to be at the point where it was going to be fine, no blood, no big gash, whatever, I could see them totally okaying it and just something going horribly wrong with that. Now, if they're using that as an excuse, then that's not right. And that it was never totally gimmicked and Cody just wanted to take the shot for, whatever reason. That's another thing, but I just don't see that happening. I think that was just a equipment malfunction with how it worked, and, we just got the result that we did. Hopefully they think twice of using that type of thing, though. That is kind of a little bit, it's something in 2019 that kind of is go away heat, turn off the show, because I'm not going to watch any more of this. This is kind of creepy. Next matchup was the 6-man tag, the OG Elite of Kenny Omega, Nick, and Matt Jackson taking on the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix, and the debuting Laredo Kid, one of the big stars from AAA in Mexico. And of course, with the partnership between AEW and AAA, we're going to see a lot more of the AAA athletes come to AEW. Of course, it being the CEO fighting game convention, of course, you're going to get a lot of fighting game inspired outfits and such. I think Nyla Rose had like a Street Fighter themed outfit or so. I think she was supposed to be Tally, but there we go. And then, we had these guys in the ring with Omega being Akuma, not Gran Akuma from Chikara, but Akuma from Street Fighter, and Nick and Matt taking the cosplay personas of Ryu and Ken. And of course, after I do the whole speech on cosplay and copyright and that stuff, these guys walk out and do this. So, wrestling will be wrestling. Justin Roberts with the round 1 fight announcement. I laughed. It was great, and everybody in the ring popped, and everybody in the arena really popped. So there we go. Awesome lucha feel to this match. Of course, it's going to happen. Huge pops for Omega. He's still insanely over. Was actually adopting a couple of Chris Jericho's mannerisms in the ring there that Jericho has developed more with this, I guess we call it the Painmaker character now in New Japan. Obviously the loss to Jericho at the last major show still weighing on Omega's mind. Elite a little bit more crisper on the triple teams than the Lucha Bros, but both teams were doing some really pretty stuff. And Omega wins with a one-winged angel on Laredo. Great debut for Laredo. Again, another future opponent for Kenny when they get television and get more bigger shows going down the road into 2020, 2021, and beyond. Runtime on that one was 20 minutes and 50 seconds, and that was the last official match of the night. Justin Roberts walked into the ring and said, pretty much, thank you all for coming. What you have just seen is the last official endorsed AEW match of the night. However, we do have one more match. It is unsanctioned, so the records will not count in the AEW rulebook. Like I said, this was a promotion that Cody said that wins and losses will matter in rankings going forward. So, take note on everybody who's won during this card here. And then we have our main event, which is the unsanctioned hardcore battle between Jon Moxley and Joey Janela. The bad boy taking on New Japan's Death Rider. And this was a incredible hardcore match. While Nakazawa and Jabali was WWE hardcore style, this was a classic ECW style hardcore match. All sorts of plunder in this thing. New music for Joey Janela. I preferred Janela's theme that Dylan Spears had written and did up for him for All In last year, which was a cover of Kavinsky's Protovision track that was titled Proto Revision. You retro new wave nerds will know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you don't, Google retro new wave. Kavinsky is the big enchilada out of that movement. Mox's AEW theme, though, is awesome. They talked about the square ring posts. Didn't notice that AEW used square ring posts. The more you know. So that's something that they've said that could easily bust open a wrestler. So obviously it'll be a way to explain in stories going forward when a wrestler cuts his head during a match how it happened. Just another hazard out there. Beautiful flying elbow from Janela on Mox through the tables. There's a great photo sequence out there on Twitter. I know David Bixenspan retweeted it a couple days ago or so. If you have a chance to check it out, go check it out. It's an awesome photo sequence of Janela dropping that elbow, and it was a very pretty elbow. Old school 1980s Macho Man style, just right through the table on Mox. Amazing stuff. Mox encountered later in the match with a Death Valley bomb through the barbed wire on Janela. Just holy crap, a lot of barbed wire used in this match. Mox wins with the Paradigm Shift, which is the AEW name of the Death Rider DDT, which is formerly the Dirty Deeds DDT, basically the double arm DDT finish that Moxley uses. Into the thumbtacks on Janela. One of the more wildest matches of 2019, and after the match, Omega attacks Moxley to grab some retribution after Double or Nothing. They will meet officially at All Out, and the pay-per-view goes to black with Moxley laid out and smiling. So, the crazy John Moxley again, just driving people insane on both sides of the Pacific, where you got him. He's the current IWGP US champion over in New Japan, and now over here in AEW, he's doing his. All right, so out of a rating of 10, I'm going to give this show a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a great maintenance show, and it was very stomachable, like I said, with a real short runtime of just over 2 hours and 24 minutes. It's a very stomachable wrestling show if you wanted to watch the main card front to back, and I'm sure I'll watch it again somewhere down the line. Great matches. The four-way was awesome. I think, though, that the match of the night would have to go to, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Cody and Darby Allin. Just a 20-minute barn burner, a great showcase for a new superstar. That's exactly how you want to do it, how you want to use it. Six-man was a great lucha-style six-man. And, the hardcore main event was straight North American tribute to ECW-style hardcore. So what more could you ask for? I've talked way too much here, guys. I'm going to head back to the table and go check out some of the other stuff from this past weekend. So later days, happy wrestling watching, folks. What did you think of Fyter Fest? Put it in the comments below, and we'll discuss and we'll talk about AEW. Like I said, this is the second show now, so now things are starting to develop and heat up. Anyways, later days, happy wrestling watching. We'll catch you next time on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. Have a good one. Stay safe, guys. We'll see ya.